Thanks for joining me here at the first ever Doing the Time with Tia Torres. And that is because I am Tia Torres. So this is going to be my general platform for all of my prison content. I do have another platform called 90 Day Felon, and I will apologize right here, right now. I had to take a step back from a lot of my social media. Just had some personal prison drama going on, as well as some personal dog rescue related things going on as well. But the 90 Day Felon platform is for me to help inmates connect to the outside world with the hope of getting a pen pal or maybe building relationships up with people on the outside. What I didn't have was a generic platform to talk about everything else. And I kept trying to think of the perfect place to do this. And actually, it took one of my followers, oh my gosh, she's been following me for years. She came in one of my live streams and she's like, hey, why don't you use the name of your old Facebook group you used to have? And she was right. I have had a private Facebook group for years called Doing the Time with Tia Torres. And of course, anybody who's been around the prison world knows that doing the time means being locked up. And I started this private group. It's for women. It started off as a place for women who had like a husband or a boyfriend, or a girlfriend or a wife, but a partner that was incarcerated. And then I got asked by moms who had a child that was incarcerated. And then it expanded to more. It was women who had a parent incarcerated or a cousin that they were close with. So it became a safe spot, a safe place for all of the above. Now, what I felt made my platform different than so many of the other platforms that do something similar is that a lot of these other prison groups become so catty and so mean. And they are mostly for like prison wives or prison girlfriends. And I mean, I saw it, and I'm like, ew, these are like, who wants to even make a comment or ask for help? So Doing the Time with Tia Torres remained very supportive. And yes, I have stepped back from it for a while, but you know what? It's time to resurrect it. But my Facebook group is only for women. And it is, I've caught a couple of guys in there posing as women, being creepy. But, we do our best. But with this podcast, even though it will share the same name, and what I'm going to do is I'll tape recordings of this podcast and then post them into the Facebook group because it is a private group. I would like to be able to do live streams with Doing the Time with Tia Torres. We'll see how it plays out. But I think that Doing the Time with Tia Torres is going to be a mixture of different things. For example, of course, prison relationships. I am working on a platform that allows people to call in like it's a radio station. And I can take your call live. We can have conversations as opposed to using like the chat that's off to the side. You see that on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook has it. But this is where you can actually call in. So I'm working on that. I'm excited if I can get it to work. But we can talk about prison relationships, family members, who are locked up. And of course, like I said, your partner, your spouse, your loved one. And I will say, just real quick, to me, the ultimate pain and broken heart is for a mother who has a child that's incarcerated. I'm sorry, that supersedes any other prison relationship. Y'all can say what you want, you can think what you want, but it's the worst. If you have a parent in there, you have a husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, you know, they're gonna have to tough it out. But your kid in there, it's a whole different ball of wax. I'm just putting that out there. Also, too, a lot of times stories will come up related to prison stuff, or I'll hear things from inmates or their loved ones about what's going on in a prison. I want to be able to talk about that. I have inmates that want to tell their story, or they want to discuss something about what happened to them, and they're not necessarily looking for a relationship. I have a lot of inmates that have written books that want to share their stories. I have an inmate currently who has a phenomenal story. It blew me away when he told me what he's dealing with right now. And he's trying to get a music career going when he gets out. But his story, and I may start with him. It's pretty crazy. And then, like I said, prison news. Things like, well, hell, the prison that we do our prison dog program out of in Pennsylvania, they're closing their doors. The entire prison's shutting down. It's just crazy. But it's going to be a heartfelt. It's going to be a serious place to come to. I know some of you have watched my 25 to Wife series, online series. That's me and my ex-husband, Tony, co-hosts. And, it's funny, it's silly, it's tongue-in-cheek. Doing the time with Tia Torres is not going to be that. About 2 weeks ago, I came across this TikTok account. I don't remember her name, but she was doing a live stream. And wow, she was angry. She was generalizing any man in prison and under the same umbrella. They're all there to scam you. They're all there to rip you off. You can't trust any of them. And I'm like, wow, like she seemed really angry. And then I find out she's a former correctional officer. Okay. So she sees them from a different point of view. I was going to go in there and just say, hey, this is how you feel about all of them? Because I know a lot of people who have gotten some really great relationships coming out of prison. But she was a little too angry for me to and I would rather have a conversation with someone like that, like talking, not through typing in a chat. Who knows? Maybe we will. But so there's things that even I want to talk about, and I want to hear feedback. And yeah, this is what Doing the Time with Tia Torres is going to be about. So I think I would like to kick off the first conversation, and I have a list. And this is a very I'm just gonna dive into it. What do you think? And you can leave comments, because I'm going to have this podcast on Patreon and it's going to be on my YouTube channel. I don't think I'm going to put it on Facebook. I think Facebook can't handle this. So we'll just leave it there for now. But I recently found myself at a crossroads when they were talking about possibly releasing, and they're still talking about it, the Menendez brothers. Now, of course, everybody's heard of the Menendez brothers. I believe it was in the early 90s. Eric and Lyle killed their parents. Now, you notice how I said the word killed and not murdered. And we're going to talk about that in a separate podcast. is there a difference between killer and murderer, or are they one and the same? But for the purpose of this, there's no doubt they killed their parents. But did they murder them? Okay, I'm going to give you a little hint. And somebody actually came at me on TikTok and said, and they misconstrued what I was trying to convey. I'm not going to give you my opinion right now, one way or the other, but the question is, and I'm going to ask you this question, and if you have the time, please go watch the Netflix version of this story, okay? I've seen all the documentaries, but this case was brought to light because of the Netflix show, okay? It's not, the Netflix one it's not a documentary. It's like actors who actually portray Lyle and Eric. And it caused a big hoopla, and I'm going to tell you why. It was done so well. Like, kudos to the producers. Kudos, major kudos to the two actors who played Eric and Lyle. Because up until that point, I had my opinion. And then I saw these actors who, I don't know, they almost played Eric and Lyle better than Eric and Lyle. That's possible. But then I started to change my mind. But then I'm like, the way the Netflix show was done, it kind of leaves you with more questions than answers, and it's open-ended. So, my question is, after watching that show, if you can, and if not, we can talk about it, in the next episode. Do you feel that they should be paroled? And here were some of the things that were brought up. Eric and Lyle claimed that they were molested by their dad, and that's what brought them to this point. They have been incarcerated for, oh my gosh, how many years is that? 40 years? Something like 30 years? I think it was like 90 in the early 90s. I can't do my math. 30 some years. Okay. Now, the question that the district attorney's office has is, are they a threat to society? Like, are they, when they get out, will they be a threat? Do we feel they are a threat to society? And I don't want to give you my opinions yet. Because I'm hoping to get my call-in studio, or you can phone in, my phone-in studio up and running. So when we do the next episode, you all can call. But if not, it'll have to just be, maybe it'll be a live stream. Maybe like a live stream chat. Maybe we'll do that. I'm open to suggestions here. So during the time with Tia Torres, I'm going to be discussing, like I said, high profile cases. I'm going to have inmates on as guests, people who have someone in prison. It's going to be like the one-stop shopping center for prison stuff. And I'm hoping to make it, like I said, a podcast / possible live stream, a podcast / kind of like a radio station. But it's going to be a place for me to finally get all of my prison ideas and thoughts out, because I got lists of things that I've been wanting to talk about for a very long time. And thank you, Kim Gooch, for suggesting that we use During the Time with Tia Torres. I hope you hear this shout out. Okay. Well, so I guess on the next episode, we're going to talk about more about the Eric and Lyle Menendez case. And I'll hear your opinions, and you will hear mine. All right, everybody. I cannot wait. I can't wait. I just can't wait. All right. We will catch you on the next one.